Well, the silkies have really been enjoying the courgette bed. It's their new playground, and it's great to see them roaming free for a while. I've just been trying to get these paving slabs a bit more level over the course of the summer. They've got a bit uneven. That's one of the downfalls of not using any hardcore underneath or any concrete, sand or cement, but it's best to keep the plot free of as much concrete as possible, and they've gone in okay, and they'll just settle back down now and they'll be stable for walking across during the winter months. So that's that job done. I need to carry on now with that rather poor looking area, which is my cold frame, which of course I use for my spares at the early part of the season, and I've just neglected them. Right, let's get in and get on sorting this. This is basically what's left of spares that have just deteriorated, although I was really surprised when I opened this to see the onions. Look at those. Most unusual. I might just keep a few of those and see if they grow on next year to be quite big. I got a feeling that they might. So I might save a few of those and just clean them up and put them to one side. Otherwise, in here, it's about clearing out. Well, there's quite a lot of mundane jobs to do today, so why not have some fun? I'm gonna just have a little bit of an experiment. So as you know, I don't really grow anything in my polytunnel during the winter months. That's just my choice. But I thought these onions, which have come out of my spares, they've got a good root on them, and they haven't really grown. They've been stunted by the fact that they've been inside that cold frame and have not been watered regularly enough, and they're really very confined. So what do you think would happen to these if I planted them? I don't know. So I'm going to have a go. I'm going to do a little patch here and plant them up. And I know I want to have garlic round all the edges here, which I haven't managed to get yet, but I'm going to try and get it this week. But I think it might be worth having a go with these. What can happen? They could shrivel up, they could go a bit mushy, or they might even succeed. But it's worth a try, I think. So for the first time during the winter months, something is going to be grown in my polytunnel, albeit a bit of an experiment. So that's all of them out of their containers, and I'm just going to work my way through. I think I'll put the bigger ones at the back just so I can keep a handle on what I put where, and I'm going to put them sort of 6 inches apart. I'll probably have to water this, which I don't normally do much watering in the polytunnel during the winter months. And what's in my mind is onion sets are, cooled during the winter months. That one looks very thin and long. I don't think I'm going to bother with that. So onion sets do get, taken down to a low temperature so that they're prepared, ready for growing the next season. And that might be what happens here in a more natural way, or it might not, but it's good fun to try. So in they go. I'll carry on with these and come back when I've finished. Well, if you've tried this before, let me know. Or I might just be breaking new ground, I don't know. I suppose that people do plant winter onions, and this might just be the same as that. I'll give it a good soaking because it's got really dry in here. I've not had anything in here that's been worth watering for a little while. So it's coming out and getting a bit dry. Okay, there we go. We'll see. I'm going to keep these peppers that I've put down below the bench, keep them watered. And lots of people have said that they've succeeded with this, and some have said they've had mixed success, but there's nothing to lose, I don't think. Everybody thinks giving them a bit of cover with straw or something is well worth the effort, so I'm going to do that too. And now that just leaves me to get on with at least one more job that I've been avoiding. It's one of those days. As I say, I've been avoiding this like the plague. This is supposed to be a cauliflower and sprout bed, and it's not happened. So this is the channel, not what to do on your allotment, but what not to do on your allotment. So I'm just gonna pretty much chuck everything in here. There is a cauliflower forming in there, but it's tiny. This one's an absolute mess. It's got some cauliflower in the middle, which I think I might use. So we'll take that one out. I have kept cauliflowers through the winter months and found them to be very successful, but it is such a mess in here. I don't think I've got any other option than to get the weed out and clear it out. There we are. That's what was in there, which is a bit stunted, not particularly good, but we'll eat it. Right, the rest of this is an absolute mess. Right, I won't bore you with weeding for 20 minutes. I'm going to work on this and hopefully I'll get back to the sprouts, and there might be a little bit worth saving. We'll see when I get there. Ooh. So what's happened here? Well, this is no dig like the rest of the plot, but it is an area that neighbours all of this wild growth on the bank outside the allotments. And what's really happening here is that nature's taking back, and it grows in from the bank, and I get a lot of couch grass in here, and there's also been a bit of neglect on my part. And I planted these sprouts in here thinking I'll plant them and leave them and it'll be a long-term sort of let them get on with it vegetable, but it's the wrong area to do that because it does get all that encroaching weed. I don't know, it's the jury's out with what's best to do with this. I can keep adding to the quality of the soil, but I just constantly keep fighting the weed. And I have put a board down there to try and stop it. And I think probably that was a couple of years ago, and it's rotted, I think, which has enabled the weed growth to come on that much stronger. So, don't know, give me your ideas. What would you do? The same things happened here year on year for about 5 years. And the best crop I've had out of here has been garlic. And I suppose that's because it matures in June and I keep on top of it. I know that alliums don't like weeds, so I probably weed it a bit more regularly. And I end up harvesting it in June and that turns it over. And I suppose it's a bit of enforced maintenance, but choosing this crop that I can leave to get on with its own growing routine, then that clearly doesn't work well for me. So put your suggestions into the comments below as to what you do, and I welcome them, and I'll take a close look and see if they can help me determine the best thing to do. Well, that's the weed from that bed. It's probably more weed from a small bed than I've ever had, but that's the way it is. Right, I've got to go and get those old tomato pots now and get rid of that soil. So as I've said in previous videos, this tomato soil, I don't recycle it. So it goes into the bank where you saw me dump that last load, and that bank gradually decays, and I can dig into it probably in a few years' time. A couple more to go. There's also some clearing up to do here with the sunflower troughs, and as I've said before, this area hasn't worked for me at all, mainly because of the infestation of slugs. The flowers didn't really get a good going, and that's left them all looking a little bit moth-eaten. But now's the time for me to just get these into the polytunnel and winter them over and clear out some of these things that just didn't come to anything. Well, unbelievably, we're still picking beans. There are still oodles of really great quality beans, and we're just sort of picking them and eating them because, well, not to put too fine a point on it, the freezer is full. So it's eat and give away now, and that's okay. I don't think I can remember a year where we've had quite so many runner beans or green beans or whatever you like to call these, but this has certainly been a cracking one. And there's some rough ones, and as I've said before, I should just leave those now to mature so that I can use the seed. And I know a number of you have asked again what this seed is, and it's ZAR, C-Z-A-R, and it's a mighty fine bean. There really are some good quality beans on this, and here we are at the end of September really. So I'm just going to take a few home for the plate, and then we'll be done on beans for the day. I think, in all honesty, I should keep cropping them like this probably well into October. Well, that's quite a lot of the mundane jobs that I've been doing today, and that's the way it is at this time of year. September into October, it's a lot of clearing up, and it's not a glamorous part of keeping a plot, but anybody who's watching for the first time or is fairly new to keeping an allotment, this is a key part of what we do and a necessary part, and it has to happen. So just be prepared for it. And if you can keep on top of things as you go along, it does make it a lot easier. Well, let's finish on a high. Let's go and have a look at the pumpkins. Always gives me a bit of a thrill. Well, you've probably seen these in the background as I've been moving around. They're just amazing. And I think where we landed was Golden Hubbard and Musc de Provence. And there's 4 of those, and they're just getting bigger and bigger. And eventually I could see another one of those dropping into the pond like the last one did, but that's okay. It only bounced and displaced a bit of water. And over here we've got blue Hubbards, and I opened this up, as you know, to see if I could get them to colour up, and they sure are really going bluey green now. There's 1, 2, there's another one down in here which is a lot smaller. And I'm going to go this way today because I can, and we can see one here that the skin's just too soft. It's going to rot. The slugs are having a go at it, and it's not until they get hard skin that they get resilient towards the slugs. And here is the massive Golden Hubbard, which is, well, I think stopped growing now, and it's just getting a deeper orange, as are all of the small sugars. This one's got a fantastic sort of mustardy orange, and these mostly have gone that way. These are the last couple that are turning, and there's one here that's just turning, so that's 6, which is wonderful. And over here we've got some green ones. These are Hokkaido, and they're really deep sort of olive green, and they're much smaller. There's a few of them around. And then we've got Strawberry Crown, and I thought they'd be bigger than this, but you can see how they're getting some coloration now, and that's quite an attractive pumpkin. So I'm looking forward to those curing, and it won't be long now before I really start to have to scoop up the dying leaves, these first, and then on to these. And in here you can see that there's yet another Musc de Provence. So we're certainly going to have plenty of pumpkins and squash for the winter months. I've started to notice a few fallers with the apples, so I think it's going to be time to pick them this week. We'll get to that if we can. There's certainly some fairly nice sized apples up in here, and they're not giant, but they're good for cooking with, and we'll stew them and they'll go in the freezer. There's not a lot of room in the freezer, but we'll find room for these, I think, and we'll probably have some apple pie and some stewed apple. I am very pleased how the purple sprouting broccoli is coming along. Those plants are probably more advanced than I've had in previous years, and that bodes well for some large plants that will stand the weather during the winter months and hopefully deliver a good crop of purple sprouting broccoli early next year. And behind it, the leeks continue to thicken out, and I'm really delighted with those. Cheesy leeks coming my way. Well, I've got to carry on with some of those horrible mundane jobs like taming the hedge, and I'm not going to bore you with those, so it just leaves me to say thanks for watching, and if you do like what I do, then why not click the like button and subscribe, and if you click on the bell you'll get my notifications when I upload on a Wednesday and a Sunday at 8 p.m. And I hope your weekend's not been quite as tidy up oriented as mine, but I think it's probably just a necessary part of the year. Have a good one. Good times.